everyone. One of the biggest questions that comes up with CVRcade racing is, what is physical equalization? Well, I'm going to do my best to answer that for you today in the simplest of terms. Right now, I'm sitting atop, floating above a sudden lane change, so I thought I would challenge myself to talk about something super mathy and physicky and sciencey while riding and steering my way around obstacles in one of the newest courses on CVRcade. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, so first I'm just going to press my C key to change my camera view. All right, so now I'm seeing me. I'm on the level of my bike. I could also show backwards. I could show my bike. I think I'll start with my bike view, and then I will change views. Okay, so physical equalization. I am on keyboard. You can see that my keyboard is selected here. If ANT or Bluetooth was selected here, I would just hit the T button to toggle through to have the keyboard be my control. So I'm going to use the plus sign, and I'm going to start riding. And while I talk to you about FTP and physical equalization, I'm going to be trying not to crash. I'm going to go a little faster to make it a little bit more challenging because I'm just feeling that kind of way today. Sassy today. I'm just sassy. All right, I need to steer. Move. Okay, over. All right. So physical equalization means everyone in the game can race and ride together. So what that means is that everyone's power curve in FTP is equalized to each other. Oh, here comes some pylons. Okay, so pay attention. I'm going to go over this way. So if you are a cyclist and come from the cycling world, you're probably familiar with FTP. If you come from the fitness world or gaming world, you might not be as familiar with what FTP or what a power curve is. So let's talk about that first, and then we'll talk about physical equalization. So FTP is just an acronym that stands for functional threshold power. And functional threshold power is basically measured with how hard you can go for 20 minutes. And when you apply pressure to the pedals, you're applying power. And that power is measured in watts. So your watts are what make you go. Whether you're inside or outside, the watts are what make you go. So if you have more watts, you go, ooh, I crashed. Yeah, I can't do it. And I was even going slow. This is the skill that comes into play. So even though you're equalized, you have to have some skill. When you go outside or inside and you're riding your bike, the more watts you produce, the faster that you go. But when you come into a game, what we've done is we've equalized that so that everyone, regardless of their absolute watts, can ride together. So if I was to do a 1 minute effort, if I was to do a 3 minute effort, a 5 minute effort, I would have different levels of power that I could generate for that duration. So a power curve is basically just marking and measuring what your power output is over certain durations. So the longer you go, everybody's curve slopes down. So if we want to race and ride together, what the game does is it equalizes us all so that our 20-minute, if we go as hard as we could for 20 minutes, we would all be equalized to 367. And that number is pretty magical because when you're racing with people in the game, you can kind of see if they're at their limit or not. The game is constantly recording your FTP and measuring it. So any cyclist will tell you that as your fitness improves and as your power improves, it doesn't get any easier. You just happen to get stronger. So if you want to do well in CVRcade racing, you also, in addition to improving your fitness level, so you can actually go for longer efforts, you also need to improve your skill level. So the skill level is accomplished by doing what I'm doing right now, which is practicing and learning the lane. I'm going pretty slow right now, so I'm just kind of trying to learn where these lanes are so that I know what lanes I'd want to be in if I was racing. This other part of it is making sure I can do the speed, because these kind of get a little bit tight here. So we'll just go a little bit faster. All right, so everybody's power curve is a little bit different. And just like a power curve is different from person to person, a heart rate curve is different from person to person. And again, that plays into their fitness level, it plays into their age. So if someone in real life, their max heart rate, which is like you're doing an all-out sprint and your heart rate can't beat one more beat higher, is 190. And my, like, I'm going as hard as I can and I can't have one beat higher is 175. I don't think it is, but let's just pretend it is. In the game, that would be equalized to 200. Our max number would be 200. So what that is when you're racing against someone, you can also say like, wait a minute, they're actually doing their threshold effort and their heart rate is lower than mine. Their relative heart rate is lower than mine. You know that it's costing them less physically to actually produce that amount of power. So let me see if I can summarize it, because I feel like I'm all over the map, just like all over this map with my steering around these pylons while I'm talking. Physical equalization equalizes everyone's power curve so that their 20-minute functional threshold power is 367. And as you get better in the game is constantly recording your efforts. And as such, it's making adjustments to that. So you do get stronger, you do get fitter, you do get faster, but you also need those skills to come along here, and skills are very important in CVRcade. That's what makes it really fun. So I don't know the math and physics behind it, but if you think of it like golf or something, right? Golf has a handicap so everyone can play together. And the math and physics of golf is pretty easy. But like if you think of like the math and physics of like flight, I mean, someone determined how to shoot thousands of tons of metal through the sky and across oceans consistently. And I don't necessarily need to calculate, the lift, the drag, the propulsion. I just trust that Newton's third law or Newton's law is at work, and the plane is flying through the sky, and it works. And that's how I look at physical equalization. There's a lot of math and physics behind it, but when you're racing and you can race with others that you'd never be able to race with outside, that you'd never be able to keep up with outside, that's super fun for me. And I particularly like that with the co-ed racing. I like that with just having new people be able to race with more experienced cyclists. So I think that it does a lot of things and offers a lot of different things to the game. So sudden lane change, and I'm talking and steering, I think I'm doing okay. I mean, I'm only going 31 kph, but I had to say that. Never. The first rule of CVRcade is to not talk about how well you're doing, because it's the curse. All right, so I think I talked about everything I wanted to do. Power curve, heart rate curve, normalized, max 200, FTP 367. So keep an eye on those numbers when you're racing. And again, the race organizers can make races, because there are going to be people who have are watt mashers, and they want to go head to head with someone who has super strength, and they want to test their strength against the other person's strength. That's fine. That's totally cool. Do that. But for me, to race the most amount of people, to have the most fun, I really enjoy the equalization part. So hope to see you in game. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out this lane. We could race together. This is going to get tight with congestion. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be so tricky. All right. I'm so good at crashing. All right. Take care.